All right, let's see how we can draw a three-dimensional structure. We're going to be working on a three-dimensional structure. We're going to be making a drawing of a house, and we'll talk more about that later. But let's just think about how to make this structure that we're going to turn into a house look three-dimensional. So what we're going to do is we're going to start with a square. Now, you'll probably want to use a ruler for this, but you can just use the edge of your sketchbook as a straight edge. That's what I like to do. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to just draw a house or a square, and I'm going to use my sketchbook to draw these edges. And trying to make sure that I make these lines as square, these angles in here, as square as possible. When I say square, I mean a right angle, 90-degree angle. One way that you can do that is that you can pay attention to the edges of your paper and make sure that the lines that you draw are parallel to the edges of your paper. And if you do that, you should have pretty close to a 90-degree angle. And if you go over a little bit and you just get rid of it. All right, so there's a pretty good square. And it doesn't have to be exactly a square either. You can see I went a little bit wide here. So now what we're going to do is we're going to figure out how can we turn this square into a three-dimensional shape that looks like it's going back into space so that our drawing has depth. And we've got the length, we've got the width, now we need to make the depth. So what we're going to do is we're going to draw some lines coming off of these corners that are going to go back into space. Now in art we call this perspective. Perspective means that you draw an object and the object looks like it's going back into space. So one of the ways you can do this is you can use a point. And this point is called a vanishing point. So perhaps I have a horizon line, and you can see I've drawn this diagonal line. We're going to use that as a guide. Perhaps I have a horizon line back here, and we can get rid of this horizon line later if we need to. But where the horizon line and where the side of my structure meet, that's a vanishing point. Now, all I need to do with the rest of these lines here is I need to make them go towards the vanishing point. And it's going to create an illusion that our house, the sides of our house, are going back into space. It's going to create an illusion of three-dimensional depth. So, let's see here. All right. Okay, now we've got basically a square that kind of looks like it's just going coming back from this horizon line back here. Now we've got a good basis here to build a house. So I'll bring my straight edge back in. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to figure out where do I want the back end of this house, the back side of this house to end, and where do I want the back of the top to end. So there, I've got the top. Now I haven't made a roof yet. The roof, we will keep this vanishing point, and when we go to draw the roof, the corners and things of the roof will also be going back to this vanishing point. But for right now, we've got a box. So we can get rid of these lines. We don't need them anymore. We're going to keep that horizon line in there for now. And then it's a good idea to draw your lines faint while you're doing this, just so that they're easily erased. All right, we'll clean our drawing off. Just making sure these two lines are parallel. These two lines are pretty much parallel. That is all important. All right, so now let's think about what sort of roof we can put on this. Well, I'm going to think of a parallelogram. If you look at a roof, we either have a triangular shaped roof or we have a parallelogram. Or not a parallelogram, a trapezoid, I mean. I'm going to think of a trapezoid. I think this line is not quite at the same angle. Now, if you really want these angles here to be the same, you would need to use a protractor. A protractor is a tool that measures angles in degrees. Okay, now inside of this, I can get rid of this line, and I can get rid of this line because these edges of the building are behind the front of the roof. So this will be the front of my roof, and we need an edge to the roof. I'm going to freehand draw this, but if you feel like you need to use the straight edge, you can do that. We will be tracing over our drawing again, so it's not necessary for it to be 100% perfect lines. We're just sketching things out right now. All right, so now this is our roof. So now what we need to do is, if we're going to imagine that our roof is going back into space along with the sides of our building, then we need to take these corners and send them back to the vanishing point as well. So you can draw those corners there, there, and then even this guy way over here, which this is going to be an awkward angle, but I think we can manage there. Now, back here we're going to connect, and then this line here and this line here should also be parallel. So we've got let me redo that. This line's a little bit more tough to draw straight freehand because there's not a lot of space. Okay, so now we can get rid of these lines, these little guidelines here. Now, at this point, we could start to use our imagination a little bit more and imagine what sort of features this house might have. We can also get rid of these lines here. So now we've got a pretty good Now in the song that we're going to use as inspiration for this house drawing, there is a porch. Now I'm going to think about the porch is coming out here right in front of, maybe this is the front, maybe our front door's here, maybe we're going to have some windows. Maybe the porch could be over here, or maybe the porch is to the side. As a matter of fact, I think that might be more interesting to draw. So I'm going to draw the porch over to the side here. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to draw some lines out to the side. If you wanted to draw your porch to the front, you would just draw your lines out going this way. Keep in mind that these lines need to also go to the vanishing point as well. And you'll see the porch that I'm going to draw here in a moment is also going to need to have some lines going to the vanishing point. So now let's take the vanishing point and let's line up the edge of our porch. So there's the edge of our porch going back. We can get rid of the rest of that line. And then we would have the front edge here coming straight down and straight down and straight down. And you guessed it, this side here is going to have to go back to the vanishing point. So this is going to be another one of those awkward angles, I think. All right. And then we would just have to draw the side. And I went a little over, but I did it on purpose. So, and if you think about your houses in your neighborhood, you've probably seen that they have these little areas here. All right, so now I've got a pretty good drawing of a three-dimensional house. Now I can start to think, where are my doors? So maybe there's a door right here, and maybe it's about this wide. And of course, that line is going to need to go back to the vanishing point. And at this point, you can start to not have to worry about everything going back. Now, the windows on the front here are just going to be straight square. So maybe there's a window here. And think about what's around your window. There's probably a little ledge. You might have some shutters on the side here. A lot of times those shutters are fake shutters, you know, decorative shutters. You've got the part where you can raise the window up. There might be some curtains inside the window, so forth and so on. There might be another window over here. What's in the yard? Use your imagination. So take your three-dimensional house, and then using the song lyrics that we're studying, you can fill in the blanks now that you know how to draw it in 3 dimensions. All right, good luck.